So the project in this last week can seem a little bit daunting, but I don't want you to be intimidated by what you have here in the project. The steps that are given are very clear and they're going to help you be successful with the project itself. So with the project, the first step is you need to find two sets of data. That's our first step. So maybe you're interested in texting and driving. Maybe you're interested in the income level for a career. So you're going to want to Google a data set. So maybe survey results for number of texts sent while driving. So you need to have 25 individual answers for the question. So you're looking for a data set. So when you're working in this, you're going to want to Google the words data set with it. They also gave you some great places to start. The Census Bureau, so you can go in the Census Bureau and look at the average number of kids in your state and you can pull a data set. Most of the data sets you're going to find are going to be rather large. So what we're going to do is we're going to cull it down to 25 values. So you're going to take the first 25 values and you're going to give me the website, the exact URL. I need to be able to click it and get there. That's step one. Step two is just telling me what it represents. So think about a nice paragraph that describes the situation. So if you looked at the number of texts sent while driving, you're going to describe to me, I was interested in the number of texts sent in a day while driving. I went to this website, found this data set, which describes, the data taken by survey or whatever information they give there for how the data was collected and what it actually means. Then you're going to put it in a table form. So the table form, you can use Microsoft Excel to do that, and then you have to insert it into your assignment. So if you are not tech savvy enough for that, you can create the table in Microsoft Word. That's just as easy as doing it in Excel. For the most part, you're going to use insert table. If you do it in Excel, you can basically highlight the cells, copy and paste them over, but you have to make sure you have borders put in. Then you're going to complete a scatter plot. How are you going to complete a scatter plot? Well, there's a couple of different ways. Google Sheets will complete a scatter plot, so will Microsoft Excel, so will Desmos. So you need to pick one of those three methods, and you can do a quick YouTube search of making a scatter plot using Microsoft Excel 2017. I'm not including directions here because it's very difficult to know exactly which version of the software you have and what software you might want to use to do the scatter plot. So a quick YouTube search will walk you through how to do it with whatever software is on your laptop or utilizing a graphing calculator that's free and online like Desmos.com. Once you have the scatter plot, it says to test several models. So how do we know how to test a model? Well, if the dots are in a line or they're clustered close together in a line, it's probably going to be a linear model. If the data dots go curved like a parabola, that would be a quadratic. If they look like a cubic, if you don't remember what a cubic is, go to Desmos.com and graph x cubed. So you're basically looking at those dots and the pattern that they form, and that's how you're going to know what model is best, whether it's a line, a parabola, a cubic. A logistic would be log x on Desmos, and exponential would be 2 raised to the x. So you're looking at the actual shape of the graph. Once you decide that, it says you can use the regression feature on the TI-83 or 84 calculator. You do not have to have this calculator. You can also take a quick YouTube or Google even, using Desmos.com to do a regression. There are templates in Desmos that will allow you to do this at no cost. There is no need to purchase an extra calculator. If you have any trouble finding these things, you can definitely send me an email and I can send you some links or make some additional suggestions, but you don't have to buy anything to do this regression. So you're going to list the equations and models you try. So in number 6, really just tell me the data looks like it's following the shape of a parabola or line or so on. And so I tried to model it with that. Once you know what shape it is, you can have the calculator give you the regression. Then it says graph the model that best fits your data. That just means graph the regression. So if you find the line of best fit or the equation of best fit is a parabola. You're going to graph that in Desmos or in whatever with your data. Last, you're going to give me some conclusions. So it's a summary of what did you learn from this? What situations might this equation be helpful? Now, when we think about that, think about the whole purpose of a regression line is to predict. So we're trying to say, well, this is what happened 25 times with this group of people. So then I can be reasonably sure that if I plug in this X value, I will get this outcome. So that's what I'm really looking for here when you're saying what situations could this be used with. And then when you say, does the curve chosen as a line of best fit really tell the same story? Be thinking about sometimes a line of best fit or a graph of best fit isn't perfect, but it's just what we have. So maybe your data set doesn't really fall into any one of these categories, but the best choice was what you have. That's where you would explain that to me. So you're just explaining which model you chose, and if there was any reason you felt maybe it wasn't 100% the best one, that's what we're looking at here. And then you're going to include a few paragraphs with a specific scenario of how you might use this in a real world situation. This isn't necessarily stuck with what you actually have. This is something where you're just talking about how could regression be used. If you are not sure, the internet is a wonderful place, and you can do a quick Google of how is linear regression used in real life. And make sure when you do that, you filter things that make sense. So I don't want an answer such as, when NASA flies something to the moon, that's not really your reality. So I'm looking for something that's maybe a career you might actually go into, or something someone you know may actually do. Keep in mind, it's probably not going to be a by hand calculation in the real world because we use software when we do this. So kind of put on your thinking cap, use Google, use the resources available to you, and think on how this might be used in the real world. In the information below, they do have the description of what's a graph versus what is a short answer. We do not want the graphs at the end and an appendix, which I know is different because typically we want that in the formatted papers. But I want you to literally list these in order because I need to see the graph when I'm reading your explanation. So I want to see number 1, number 2. So answer them in number order, but make sure you're using paragraph formats for the short answers. You should have this typed, I say 2 to 3 pages, but if your visuals are really large, that might be a problem to hit that 2 to 3 pages as a maximum. So just be really sure that you've adequately answered everything, and then be sure to include all your sources. You can do that in a reference page. I am not grading 100% on your references being formatted properly, but I need to know where you looked. So anything you Googled and you pulled from Google or YouTube directions on how to find a regression, etc., that needs to be there. You're not going to be penalized for going searching for that information because I'm telling you in the video you can do that. But I do need to see where you got it from. If you have any questions about this project, please send me an email. I am more than happy to help you and to walk you through it.